The following is a presentation of the Northeast Florida Regional Council and the Northeast Florida Local Emergency Planning Committee for Hazardous Materials.
The name of the exercise was obscured by smoke. The premise was based off of an incident that happened on I-75 here a couple years ago where smoke had covered the highway and there was a major pileup of over 100 cars.
We tried to choose realistic events that the teams could encounter. Each one of these events by itself probably could be handled by an individual team, but putting together a large incident like this on a motor vehicle accident with multiple hazards, multiple leaks, would cause the deployment of each of the regional hazardous material teams that were present today.
St. John's HazMat to HazMat, go ahead.
It's very important for us to be able to come out and integrate together, not only as one hazmat team, but we're doing this as a joint regional exercise. So that means all the hazmat teams from this region will be participating together to work together, because on an incident this big, no one team will be able to mitigate an incident this large by themselves.
My primary concerns is the safety of anybody on this exercise, making sure that they're not injured, don't get injured. We're trying to just make it so that it's a fun exercise and everybody learns and nobody gets hurt.
The evaluator's role is to make sure that the responders are operating to set protocols and operating in a safe environment, basically, and we'll take that information and we'll put it together and we'll use that for future training to perfect the evolution.
Our main concern is those victims right now. That's what we'll get.
They had to identify the most serious hazards to start with, which was the chlorine toxic hazard, and mitigate that first before they go on to mitigate some of the less critical releases that were occurring in the box truck and the trailer. And then, of course, the significant incident of the petroleum truck that was leaking fuel.
These incidents happen day in and day out, not to the magnitude you had here today, but the city of Jacksonville is a big area and a large industrial area, and so we have quite a bit of hazmat.
We have information in the trucks. We have shipping papers that will explain what they have in the trucks, and then from there they can get material safety data sheets to find out what the hazards are.
St. John's HazMat 16 to command.
55-gallon drum of hypochlorite solution.
Communication is always, as they say, always the first piece to fall apart, so if we can perfect that, especially up front, it's a great benefit to us.
We used the mannequins, and they were labeled as either alive or dead to allow the responders to be able to identify life safety hazards, to resolve those initially or first, to get people that were injured and alive still out of the hot zone. Patients that are exposed or in the hot zone or they're exposed to a chemical, before they can be transported to the hospital, they have to be decontaminated. No hospital is going to allow a contaminated patient into their emergency room until they've been decontaminated. Chlorine, another very toxic chemical. You saw the crews spraying down the chlorine to move the chlorine gas away from the victims to be able to rescue them and to be able to mitigate patching the 1-ton chlorine cylinder that was leaking.
I think the most important thing is an opportunity for teams that don't normally get to work together, that have the opportunity to practice before the big one happens.
Because you don't want to do it while the incident's going on. When you're neck deep in alligators on the real deal, you don't want to have problems then, so you identify them here.
These hazards that we simulated are all very dangerous. Fuel is very flammable, easily ignitable, and that's where you saw the foam blanket being applied to that fuel, simulated fuel, to contain the vapors so they would not reach an ignition source and ignite. What the teams did with the LP gas truck, it was simulated that the tanks were leaking at a place that could not be patched. It would require the tank to be burned off. So what the teams did was connect onto the liquid side of the tank, and they were able to burn off the product inside the tank.
We do a lot of tabletops and discussion-based exercises, but that really doesn't get to the response efforts that would truly go along with a normal true incident. So this was a chance for us to practice what we talk about around a table.
Trying to start with the arriving units, ladder 20, Lieutenant Barnwell.
We got with our battalion, we saw the chlorine leak and saw we might be able to do a recon in the area, so we recon, gave back some information what we could, and then came back. If we'd had some other units with us, that would have been a little bit better for us. We could have gotten some more stuff done.
Good exercise, some challenges, some of them were met, some of them probably need to be addressed through some more training, but the biggest thing I take away from it is that you get teams from different areas to work together and get the job done. I didn't see anybody give up. I didn't see any turf battles out there, which is 90% of getting the job done.
Each one of the technicians that you've seen out here has received extensive training, initially 160 hours of hazardous material training and then ongoing training each year to maintain their skills and be able to respond to a variety of incidents involving hazardous materials.
I think the exercise was great. We tried to simulate a highway transportation accident, and in our jurisdiction we got major highways, major roads, so this isn't far out of reality. This could actually happen at any given day.
They have to be dedicated. I mean, we train a lot, and there are times that you have to put yourself in harm's way. Special people, they really are, and they show up and they love the job and they like the career and they stick with it.
Ultimately, what we're going to take away from this is we're going to be able to identify gaps that we need to address either from training or more exercises together. And this was a chance to get all of our stakeholders, our response agencies together, and to be able to practice how we would like to perform in a real-life event.